A dying beggar whispered, "Please, I don't want to die like this." And at that very moment, fate twisted. It all began in the bustling city of Lagos, Nigeria, where every sunrise brings both hustle and hardship. From the streets of Ajegunle, a slum where dreams often die before they're even born, came a man named Emeka. Emeka was not always a beggar. In fact, he once had a small but proud tailoring business. He stitched suits, wedding gowns, school uniforms, you name it. He was known in his neighborhood for his gentle smile and kind heart. But life is unpredictable, and in a single year, Emeka lost everything. First, his wife, his joy, died during childbirth. Then the baby didn't make it either. That pain shattered him. Next, his tiny shop caught fire in the middle of the night. No one knew what caused it. Some said faulty wiring, others said jealous neighbors. But Emeka? He just cried. Everything burned. His sewing machines, fabrics, customer orders, gone. He tried to start over, tried hard, but Lagos is a city that never slows down for anyone, especially a grieving, broke tailor. Months passed, rent unpaid, friends disappeared. Hunger clawed at his belly. Soon, he had nothing left but the worn-out clothes on his back. And that's how he ended up on the roadside in Lekki Phase 1, lying near a pile of dirty sandbags, begging for coins and dignity. Now picture this, a hot afternoon sun beating down, sweat rolling off your forehead, the smell of roasted corn mixed with car exhaust fumes. People walking fast, rushing. No one sees you, no one hears your cries. That's where Emeka was. He hadn't eaten for 3 days. His lips were dry, cracked, his legs swollen and stiff. He couldn't even sit up, just lay there, dying, until a sleek black Mercedes-Benz G-Wagon pulled over. The tires hissed slightly as they came to a halt. The driver, a tall, calm man, stepped out. People around turned their heads. That man was Chief Nonso Okeke, the billionaire real estate mogul everyone knew from the news. Sharp suit, expensive cologne, clean shoes. The kind of man you see on magazine covers, not on Lagos streets. What was he doing here? He stared at Emeka. For a long time, Emeka, gasping, managed to croak out, "Help me, even if it's just water." Nonso looked around. Why hasn't anyone helped this man? A woman selling oranges nearby said, Oga, leave am o. He day here since. People don't tire to give am." The billionaire didn't say anything. He knelt beside Emeka, took off his designer jacket and placed it under the beggar's head. People stared like they had seen a ghost. "Hey," Nonso said gently, his voice low. "Can you hear me?" Emeka blinked slowly. I used to sew clothes." Nonso's eyes narrowed. "You're a tailor?" Emeka nodded weakly. Without another word, the billionaire stood, turned to his driver and said, "Call the clinic. We're taking him now." "But sir, I said now," Nonso barked. His voice echoed, shutting everyone up. They lifted Emeka gently into the back seat. People whispered, gossiped, some even filmed it with their phones. But Nonso didn't care. As they drove off, Emeka closed his eyes, murmuring, Why are you helping me?" Nonso replied, barely audible, "Because once upon a time, someone helped me too." That day, Emeka's story changed, but it wasn't an easy ride. Oh no, not at all. The beggar everyone ignored was now lying on a hospital bed paid for by a man who had the power to buy a whole city. People were still talking about it. Did you hear? That billionaire carried a dying beggar into his car with his own hands. Some thought it was a stunt. Others said maybe the beggar was his long-lost brother. But none of them knew the truth. Only Nonso Okeke, the quiet man with deep eyes and heavy secrets, understood why he did it. The private clinic was clean, cold, and filled with the smell of antiseptic. Emeka had never seen anything like it. The sheets were white, the ceiling had soft lights, and the air conditioner hummed gently like a lullaby. He drifted in and out of sleep for days. The nurses whispered around him, shocked by how thin his body had become. His legs were infected, his organs failing. He had no one, no relatives, no visitors. Except one. Every evening, around 6 p.m., the door would open, and there he'd be. Chief Nonso Okeke, standing tall, hands in his pocket, watching him silently. Sometimes he brought fresh juice. Sometimes he just sat there, not talking, just sitting. One evening, Emeka opened his eyes slowly and whispered, "Why are you doing this for me? You don't even know me." Nonso sat forward, breathed out softly, and said, "I know you more than you think." Emeka frowned, confused. "You said you were a tailor." "Yes, I was." Nonso smiled faintly. "There was a time I couldn't afford school fees. My father died. My mother sold a kara by the roadside. I had one uniform, torn, dirty. I was the shame of the school. Emeka blinked. One day, Nonso continued, a man like you, a tailor, saw me crying and asked why. I told him I was tired of being laughed at. He took my uniform, stitched it, patched the holes, even added a little style. I wore that thing like royalty. I never forgot it. Silence. So when I saw you lying there, Nonso added, voice cracking just a little, I saw myself. Emeka turned his head. A tear slid down his cheek. God bless that tailor. And bless you too. Recovery wasn't easy. Emeka's body had suffered too long. Weeks passed. He was given clean clothes, food, medicine, but what touched him most was respect. For the first time in years, someone called him Sir. The doctor said it would take months for him to walk well again. Nonso didn't rush him. He paid every bill silently. When Emeka asked if he could work to repay him, Nonso simply said, your only job is to get strong. That's all. One afternoon, as birds chirped outside and the sky poured heavy Lagos rain, Nonso walked into Emeka's room holding a brown envelope. He sat and said, I've been thinking. Do you want to sew again? Emeka looked down. More than anything. But I don't have the strength or the tools. Nonso dropped the envelope on the table. Inside, there is a shop lease. I got you a place in Surulere. Clean, safe, fully equipped with machines and fabrics. You'll run it however you like. I'll cover 6 months of expenses. After that, it's yours to manage. Emeka stared at him like he was seeing a dream. His lips trembled. Why? Why me? Nonso simply said, because someone helped me when I had nothing. Now, I'm paying it forward. Emeka broke down in tears, sobbing like a child. God, I thought I was going to die on that street. I thought my life was over. Nonso got up, walked over, and placed a firm hand on his shoulder. Sometimes the street buries us, but not everyone stays buried. You're going to rise. By the time Emeka left the clinic 2 weeks later, he walked with a limp, but he held his head high. He wore new clothes. He smelled clean. His skin had color again. And when he arrived at the shop Nonso had gotten him, he just stood outside for 10 whole minutes, staring. The windows had glass. The sign read, Emeka's Royal Stitch, tailoring with a touch of grace. He touched the door. It felt like gold. Inside were 2 brand new sewing machines, piles of quality fabric, a standing fan, mirrors, chairs, measuring tape, scissors, everything. On the table sat a note in neat handwriting. Your talent is the thread. Your hands are the needle. Now go and sew your way into the hearts of men. Chief Nonso. People gathered when they saw Emeka opening the shop. Is that not the beggar from Lekki? Ha! It's him-o! But how? Billionaire rescued him, I heard. Chai! God is powerful. The gossip spread like fire, but Emeka didn't mind. He smiled, picked up a measuring tape, and called out, who wants the first outfit? And just like that, the needle began stitching a new chapter, from beggar to business owner. But success has enemies too, and not everyone wants to see you rise. Within just a month, Emeka's Royal Stitch became the most talked about tailoring shop in Surulere. At first, people came out of curiosity. Then they stayed because his hands were gifted. Every stitch, every fabric, every measurement, flawless. Churchwomen came for wrappers. Young men brought agbadas. Brides begged for wedding dresses. And every time Emeka sewed, he remembered what it felt like to starve. It made him humble, patient, kind. God used a billionaire to lift me up, he'd tell customers. Now, I want to serve you with love. But soon, the shadows came. It started quietly. One morning, Emeka arrived to find his shop's front door slightly open. He froze. His heart pounded. Slowly, he stepped inside. Everything was upside down. Fabrics slashed. Machines broken. The mirror shattered. He gasped. Jesus? Who did this? A small paper was stuck to the wall. In thick red letters it read, stay in the gutter where you belong. Emeka collapsed to the floor. His chest heaved. Why? What did I do? The landlord arrived later that day. Ah, Emeka, this is bad-o. I told you people are jealous. Some boys in this area, they don't like your success. Emeka clenched his fists. He remembered sleeping under bridges, drinking from gutters. That old pain crept in again, whispering, you're still that useless beggar. But just as fast, another voice cut through. Nonso's voice. You're going to rise. He took a deep breath, stood up, and began cleaning. Word reached Chief Nonso that same day. Within hours, 2 black jeeps pulled up outside the shop. 4 bodyguards stepped out, followed by Nonso, looking like a calm storm in his sharp gray kaftan. Who did this? He asked quietly. His eyes scanned the broken shop. I don't know, Emeka whispered. But someone wants me gone. Nonso nodded slowly, then turned to his men. Fix everything. Tonight, new machines, new locks, new signboard. That night, as Emeka sat outside in the darkness, watching them rebuild his dream, Nonso sat beside him. There's something you should understand, he said softly. When you rise from nothing, people think you don't deserve it. They forget your pain, your hunger, your tears. Emeka looked at him. Why is it like that? Because your success reminds them of their failure, Nonso replied. So they try to drag you back down. Emeka nodded slowly. Then I'll rise even higher. From that day, Emeka's spirit changed. He wasn't just grateful, he was determined. He started working longer hours, learning new styles, even teaching street boys how to sew. Come, he told them. If I could rise, you can too. One of the boys, Ikenna, was just 16. Rough, stubborn, always getting into trouble. But Emeka saw himself in that boy. Help me cut fabric, he said one day. You'll learn. Ikenna scoffed. I'm not interested in useless things like this. Emeka smiled. Neither was I, but now it feeds me, clothes me, and gives me dignity. Slowly, Ikenna began helping, first with sweeping, then with fabric, then with small stitches. Soon, he became Emeka's apprentice. But the jealousy grew louder. A group of local tailors, angry that customers were leaving them for Emeka, started a campaign. He's using charms, they whispered. He's not even from here. He was a beggar. How can he know fashion? They even tried to bribe the landlord to evict him. But the landlord refused. The boy pays on time, leaves my place clean, brings no wahala, leave him alone. Still, danger was building. One rainy night, Emeka closed his shop late. Ikenna had gone home. As he locked the door, he heard quick footsteps behind him. Hey, someone shouted. He turned, and 3 masked men grabbed him. Let's see if you'll still sew after this, one growled. They dragged him into an alley, fists flying, boots kicking. Emeka screamed. Please, what did I do? They didn't answer. Just punches, kicks, blood. Everything went dark. Hours later, a market woman found him, barely breathing. Ah, Jesus, this is Emeka O. Somebody help. He was rushed to a clinic again. When Chief Nonso got the call, he didn't say a word. He just gripped his phone tightly and said, tell the security team, it's time to clean the streets. The next morning, Lagos newspapers carried the headline, Street Beggar turned tailor brutally attacked in Surulere, police investigate. But what those attackers didn't know was that Chief Nonso had connections, deep ones. That beating? It was the final straw, and the storm that followed would shake the city. When a beggar rises, they call it luck. When he fights back, they call it pride. But Emeka was done being quiet. Emeka spent 2 weeks in the hospital. His body was bruised, his ribs cracked, but it wasn't just his body that was in pain, it was his heart. How did I go from sleeping in dirt to getting attacked for being successful? He muttered one night, staring at the hospital ceiling. Ikenna visited every day, always quiet, always carrying jollof rice and a bottle of water. Oga, just rest. We'll rebuild again. They can't stop you. Emeka would smile weakly. Thanks, my boy, but I'm not rebuilding the same way this time. Meanwhile, Chief Nonso had unleashed his wrath. He hired private investigators, lawyers, and 2 local media crews. He didn't just want justice. He wanted to expose every single person behind the attack. 3 local tailors were arrested. 1 confessed during interrogation, shaking with regret. We didn't mean to kill him. We were angry. Customers stopped coming. But it was too late for apologies. The whole of Surulere was talking. Did you hear what they did to that boy Emeka? From begging on the street to being attacked by jealous people, God will punish them. He was just working hard, oh. Why so much hate? When Emeka was discharged, he didn't go straight to his shop. No, he went to a conference center in Lekki, wearing a plain white shirt and trousers, still limping. Chief Nonso had organized a free empowerment seminar and made Emeka the keynote speaker. Hundreds of people were there. Young people, tailors, barbers, mechanics. Some even came with notebooks. When Emeka stepped on that stage, the room went silent. He took the mic. His voice was soft but steady. My name is Emeka, he said, breathing deeply. 2 years ago, I begged for food in Ojuelegba. I drank rainwater. I slept under a broken bus. Nobody looked at me. I was trashed to the world. He paused. Eyes glistened in the crowd. But one man stopped. One man saw me, not as trash, but as potential. Chief Nonso didn't give me money. He gave me a second chance, a mirror to see myself differently. The crowd clapped. He continued, I built a shop. I worked hard. I gave back. And some people didn't like it. They beat me, broke my ribs, wanted to bury my dream. Silence again. But listen to me carefully. Emeka said, his voice rising. You cannot kill purpose. You cannot bury light. And every pain I felt only gave me more fuel. The room exploded in applause. That day, 5 young boys came up to Emeka after the event. Oga, please, we want to learn tailoring under you. We want to leave the street. He looked at them, then at Nonso, who stood proudly in the corner. Yes, Emeka said. Come, I'll teach you. We rise together. Back in Surulere, his shop had been transformed. New security cameras, reinforced doors, freshly painted walls. A glowing signboard, Emeka's Royal Stitch, where hustle meets excellence. Business tripled. People traveled from Ikeja, Yaba, even as far as Ibadan, just to get stitched by the beggar tailor. But Emeka didn't let success harden him. Every Sunday, he still gave food to beggars, still taught apprentices for free, still reminded himself, I came from the ground. I will never forget the dust that shaped me. One morning, a car stopped near his shop. A woman stepped out, slim, old, her wrapper torn, her eyes tired. She stretched her hand, begging, Biko, help me. I haven't eaten since yesterday. Emeka turned around and froze. It was Mama Ijeoma, the food seller who once chased him away like a dog. She didn't recognize him. He walked slowly toward her. Mama, it's me, Emeka, the boy you once threw stones at for begging. Her eyes widened, mouth opened. Chineke, Emeka? He nodded gently, then opened his wallet and gave her 100,000 in crisp notes. This is not revenge, Mama. This is what mercy looks like. She dropped to her knees, crying. The crowd that had gathered stared in shock. Nawao, this Emeka is not just successful, he's kind. But there was one more surprise waiting. Later that evening, Chief Nonso invited Emeka to his mansion. Over dinner, he said, You've done more than I expected. You're not just a tailor, you're a leader. Emeka smiled. I just want to help more people. Nonso leaned forward. Then let me help you too. I want to sponsor your brand, open branches across Lagos. You'll design uniforms for companies, schools, celebrities. Emeka's fork froze midair. You want to partner with me? Nonso nodded. Yes, you're no longer just a success story. You're an example. Tears welled in Emeka's eyes. From street beggar to business partner with a billionaire. He couldn't believe it. But the journey wasn't over because one of the people he once helped was about to betray him. And the next storm would test everything he built. They say betrayal hurts most when it comes from the one you fed. And for Emeka, this was the betrayal that nearly broke him completely. Life was sweet. Too sweet. Emeka's tailoring business was now a household name. His brand had spread to Ikeja, Aja, Festac, and even Abuja. He was invited to events, featured in magazines, and praised on social media as the billionaire tailor with a beggar's past. He wore suits now, spoke at conferences, but he never let the fame drown his humility. Every Monday, Emeka still returned to Ojuelegba to give out food and clothing. I will never forget the gutter I crawled out from, he often told Ekena. Speaking of Ekena, the boy who once followed him like a shadow had now become his assistant manager. Smart, fast, and loyal. Or so Emeka thought. It started small. Missing fabrics, wrong account balances, clients claiming they paid but records showing unpaid. Emeka was confused. Ekena, these records don't match, he said one evening, tired and tense. Ekena wiped sweat from his forehead. Oga, maybe in a system error. I go check am. But the errors continued. Until one day, Emeka got a call from a woman in Lekki, furious. You people took 500,000 from me and didn't deliver my gowns? Is this how you people scam clients? Emeka almost dropped the phone. He rushed to the system, checked the records, no entry of payment. He called Ekena. Where is that client's file? Ekena stammered. I thought maybe it was... Talk straight, Ekena, Emeka shouted. And that's when the truth began to unravel. One of the junior staff, Neka, quietly approached Emeka later that night. Sir, I didn't want to talk, but I've seen Ekena collect cash from clients and tell us not to record it. Emeka froze. He checked camera footage. There it was, clear as daylight. Ekena taking envelope after envelope, slipping it into his own bag. Over 4.5 million had gone missing over 3 months, stolen by the very boy he pulled out of the streets. Emeka sat in silence. No tears, no anger, just heartbreak. He called Ekena into the office one last time. Ekena, he said softly, why? Ekena couldn't meet his eyes. Oga, I was just tired of being poor. I wanted fast money. You already had more than most boys your age. You had a chance. I wanted more, he snapped. I see you. I see Chief Nonso. Big cars, big life. I wanted that too. Emeka sighed, but not through betrayal. He stood up, picked up the termination letter. You're fired, and you'll return every kobo you stole. Ekena tried to beg, even knelt, but Emeka turned his back. I'll never forget where I came from, but I will also never forget this lesson. The news spread fast. People were shocked. Ah, the same Ekena that Emeka helped? Some people are just evil. But Emeka didn't stop. He used the betrayal as fuel. He tightened security, rebuilt his trust system, promoted Neka to assistant manager. And then, something beautiful happened. Chief Nonso called him to a private meeting. Emeka, he said, your story has changed me too. I used to chase profit. Now I want to build people. I'm creating a foundation for street youths. I want you to lead it. Emeka blinked. You want me to lead a foundation? Yes, Nonso said with a proud smile, because you've walked the journey from nothing to greatness. Tears filled Emeka's eyes. In 1 year, the Street to Stars Foundation trained over 300 young boys and girls across Nigeria in tailoring, design, carpentry, and tech. Each one carried a piece of Emeka's story. And years later, when Emeka stood before a crowd at an international conference in South Africa, holding a microphone with quiet pride, he said, "My name is Emeka. I was once a beggar, but someone believed in me, and I chose not to disappoint that belief. Now I pass it on, because sometimes all a man needs is one hand to lift him out of the dust." The crowd gave him a standing ovation, and somewhere in the front row, Chief Nonso smiled, because he knew he hadn't just rescued a beggar, he had awakened a giant.